Trina Limpert is currently the CEO of Rize Next, a business strategy consulting company. She has 25 years of experience in the high-tech industry. She's based in Utah and works globally. She's worked for Novell, Oracle, and eBay, and is the co-founder of techmoms.org. Trina, thank you for meeting with us today. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me today.
Awesome. Well, Trina, we are so excited to just hear your story. There's a lot of different personalized paths that everyone takes, and at MyTech we definitely believe in personalized paths in education.
Yes.
So just tell us a little bit about your education experience growing up. What was your high school kind of into college or on-the-job training kind of experience like?
Yeah, and I get asked a lot, how did I end up in technology? So I joke that it happened when I wrecked my light blue Chevy Malibu into a parked car. Really found myself in a bad situation riding my little brother's bike to a fast food restaurant called Vittles, and recognized, I was slipping around on greasy floors and arguing with my teammates on whose burger order was whose. And I'm just like, I can't live this life. This is not where I'm going to go. But I'd been very fortunate to get access to a lot of fun things growing up by my parents. I'm writing a book right now, and it's pretty fun. It's called The Four Boundaries for Life Work Harmony, and reflecting a lot on how did I end up here and what were the things in my youth that led me to a career in tech. And I was writing about recently how when I was young, I used to build motorized cars for my Barbies because they got really bored sitting around the Barbie house. It's like, how many outfits and how many times can I decorate the Barbie house before I'm like, I'm bored, I got to get out of here. But I didn't have like a really souped up pink Corvette. So I actually built these motorized cars and boats and ATVs. Even like I took them outdoors and like went out in the mountains and took my Barbie's ATV, and I ride dirt bikes now. So, that kind of goes hand in hand. But I always had a love of design and building things. And as I got into high school, I even, really a big advocate for education and getting an education, but didn't have the funding or finances in my family to get there. And so I saved those Vittles dollars from that fast food restaurant I worked at and found my way into my first semester at now it's UVU. It was a state college back then, or not a state college, it was a tech college. And I started out in engineering. Like I said, I love to design and build, and took a Pascal programming class, which is a really old school programming language a few people know today, not many, but just fell in love with computer science and made a decision to switch my degree from architectural engineering into computer science, which was like one of the best decisions I've ever made. And saying, hey, there's this whole huge world of computer science. It wasn't even high tech back then. It was computer science, right? And now in the work I'm doing, is I looked around, I was usually the only woman in my classes. And so I got very involved in understanding why aren't more women coming into computer science and technology roles. And this is, like I said, 1996, 97, right? And wrote my thesis paper on why women should go into computer science all those years ago. And so throughout my career, as I moved in and started working in technology roles, it became even more pervasive in seeing the discrepancies and biases and things that were happening in the workplace for women trying to get in and wanting to stay in the industry. So I've been very involved in helping gain more diversity in the tech industry for decades now. But I started, like I said, I finished my computer science degree. It was an associate's degree from Weber State, and worked graveyards. I worked full time. Like I said, I had to make that money. So I've been working full time, going to school full time, and worked graveyards at Hill Air Force Base on mainframes. So I did my time as a civilian on the base, and then took a job at Novell as a network engineer, and then moved on into a lot of different roles. I had so many opportunities and doors open to me, and became what they call a business systems analyst, and then did technical sales for a period of time at Oracle, then went to eBay and built their systems for account management, got into marketing and sales, the systems design, and launched a product organization, did technical project management and ran eBay's PMO for a while, did development operations, and then went back to Oracle. So I made a jump back and I oversaw their strategic accounts as the senior director of consulting, and worked with large scale global implementations of Oracle software and for a number of years. And then decided, you know what, it's time for me to be out on my own, and took the leap from an executive position and started my own firm, and been riding the entrepreneurship train since then.
Wow, that is pretty incredible. There's a lot of different things you were doing in there. For the people, for the students that will be watching this, a lot of them
Yeah.
just hear people say, oh, I went from college right into Novell or right into a job. What
Yeah.
were maybe some of the more logistical steps that you took? Like, how did you get that? Was it through internships? Did you just apply to a bunch of places and Novell said, hey, this is open, and you took it? What was that kind of steps? And then maybe how you got to Oracle and how you got to eBay even?
Yeah. And I want to say I'm a huge proponent for education and continued. So even though I took a new job, I didn't stop my education. I went to school nights at the University of Phoenix, and got a bachelor's in business and information systems. I then went on to do a master's degree while I was working. And so the education piece has been a big part of my continued development, but it wasn't the how I transitioned was, yes, I went to Department of Workforce Services and said, what jobs have you got? Right. And made connections into companies that I wanted to work for. And so I did apply. I remember taking that first interview at Novell, and it was a huge jump for me. And having worked at, doing operations type role at Hill Air Force Base, that was a stepping stone. And I think that's the key to remember, is that you're not going to go right from school to maybe exactly the job that you're looking for. You're going to look for the opportunities that will give you stepping stones towards it. But because I'd worked on mainframes and kind of had some technical experience, I was then able to use that as a proponent for me to get into that network engineer job. But I remember them, there was probably some challenges there for me, especially as the only woman on the team that they'd ever hired. I was their first woman on the team, and being told, well, you're a risky hire. Not that I wasn't educated or I didn't have experience. It was, there's some of those biases that came into it, and having to overcome those as well. And so, there was putting myself out there, just being confident in who I was and what I was bringing to the table and the value I could bring, and talking about those things, and just saying, here's how I can be of value to your team. Here's what I'm going to bring, and really selling myself in those scenarios is how I was able to kind of get my foot in the door. And I would say now, with the tech moms that I now help women transition into the tech industry. That's what I do every day, is helping them build that same confidence to make these transitions and stay strong in saying, here's the value I'm bringing, here's what I can do for you, and really bringing that forward. It's really building the skills, but networking is a big piece of it. Really
Absolutely.
building relationships, I would say, is probably just as important as the skills that you're going to be bringing to the table.
Yeah, that is really good insight, and it seems like you've experienced bias and other things in your career, in your life, and that. And correct me if I'm wrong. That is what Rise Next does a lot of, right? That it helps with a lot of that. Talk to me about Rise Next as well.
Yeah. So as I went through my career from
Hmm.
a technology standpoint, I always got really involved in steering committees and in what they call employee resource groups. and working with different affinity groups, from women to Black employees, Latinx, LGBTQ, and veterans. There's a lot of different challenges that are in the workforce for various minority groups. And so understanding those better, it's always been something that's been very important to me. And so I've learned a lot through, my time and experience there. And so with Rize Next, I really help organizations integrate diversity and inclusion equity programs into their business strategy, because I realized I went back to school at Harvard and did a certification in driving corporate strategy. And I was sitting in those classes and realizing we are not applying the same business principles that we would to any business strategy for change that we are within diversity and inclusion. And there was this huge disconnect I was seeing in how we are approaching these programs. And, we don't give it budget, we don't assign an executive, we don't really give it the focus that it needs, but yet it could be a huge business driver for your business. And so I took the learnings that I gained at Harvard and applied it to diversity and inclusion programs, and now do basically diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy for helping grow businesses and gaining profitability through those programs.
Wow, that is really cool. And just that you picked up all of these skills, just kind of living your own life. Yet you said you learned it at Harvard as well. And you saw that all over the place. And it's really cool that you're able to make a business out of it. And now other companies can take those business strategies and improve it themselves. That's
Yeah.
really cool. So you're
Yeah.
currently the CEO, but you're also doing team moms,
Mom.
tech moms, tech moms.
Yeah.
You're doing both of those simultaneously?
Yeah, I actually started Tech Moms as a program under Rise Next, and it grew so fast. We ended up running it we've launched it as a 501c3 this last year. So it has become a huge ground movement that we've made. We've put over 220 women through the program in a year and a half.
Wow,
We
that's
work
awesome.
with, yeah, it's been amazing, and we're growing. So we work with our local universities. So we work with Weber State, Slick, or Salt Lake Community College, Utah Valley College, or Utah Valley University, in running programs in partnership with them that help women understand the tech industry and help bridge them into the industry. So we do some basic HTML and CSS coding, and then also explain all the different roles that are available. So UI, UX, cybersecurity, technical sales. Like I said, I did a stint there, and digital marketing, and all the opportunities that are available in tech. I think there's just what we call just demystifying the industry, not realizing how much opportunity is really out there. And, I have a saying, tech jobs are mom jobs. They're flexible, they're remote working, they allow us to have lives, and be able to focus on family and have a fulfilling career and pay better, honestly. So why wouldn't we go for these roles? And we've had grown a massive community now, which is great. We also say once a tech mom, always a tech mom, and we're building out this huge alumni network that's now tech moms hiring tech moms and mentoring tech moms, and showing up in different ways, and really kind of created this ground movement that's taken hold, that's pretty amazing.
That really is. That really is. That's really cool to hear. And in my tech high, there are thousands of families that are homeschooled, that have these mom or dad or whomever at
Yeah.
home, maybe looking for an opportunity like this, where they're like, well, my kid's getting all this tech education.
Yeah, why
Why
not?
can't I
Why
have
not
this tech
share it?
education?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if any of parents are watching this, where would they go to learn more about this?
It's tech-moms.org. So that's the site. There's an application. The only requirement we have, you can be male or female, you don't have to be a mom. It's basically we're trying to remove the barriers that are typically there for women, but anybody could apply, right? And so if you go there, there is an application process. High school diploma is all we're asking for. You don't have to even have an extensive, like, understanding of tech, just basic know how to work a laptop to get in the program. So if you go there and you are interested, please apply. And we would love to hear from you and see how we can help you make this transition into the tech industry.
Perfect. I think that's a fabulous resource for so many moms and parents out there. As we conclude here, to close, what advice would you give to young students to thrive today and plan ahead for the future?
Yeah, there's a couple, I could go on forever. So I'm going to try and make it as succinct as possible. So find what that spark is, right? There's a reason you're at My Tech High. There's something in you. And I can say there is a fit for everybody in the tech industry. I don't care what your interest is, if it's art or design or, marketing or working with people in sales, there is a fit in the tech industry for anybody. It's just what resonates most with you. And don't be afraid to commit and then shift. I call it the commit and shift, because having a focus and a commitment to one path doesn't mean you're stuck in that path forever. So, a lot with my own kids, I have 3 sons and 5 stepchildren. So we have like 27 kids. And what I've noticed is that there's this fear of commitment, that what if I pick the wrong thing? Don't be afraid of picking the wrong thing. Just pick a path, start down that path, and you'll discover new things. And then you shift and you're like, okay, now I've learned this. Now it's something else. Another opportunity is going to be there for you. So don't be afraid of that commitment. Just make sure you're starting down the path.
That is fabulous advice. I've talked with many students and my peers as well, and everyone's always so many people are afraid of committing to the wrong thing. So I think that mentality is absolutely invaluable. So thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
well, Trina, thank you for speaking with us today. Your story was amazing, and it is fun to see all the different paths that different people take. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.